Hey bass friends, so today I've got a story for you. I was recently, it's been a few months, that I was at a rehearsal for a jazz band. I was just the sub. So I had gone through the night before and I had thrown a bunch of stuff into my gig bag. I had to bring both my upright and my electric bass. So I had my amp, I had my basses, I had them all set out because I knew I had a pretty busy day the next day. So I spent the morning cleaning the church. It was just my turn to clean our local church. So I did that with my kids, but I was running late because my 5-year-old decided to play hide and seek at the church and I couldn't find him. So I spent a bunch of time trying to find him. Once I did find him, I had to take him home, then I had to get my stuff packed up in the car, threw everything in there. I was pretty confident that I had everything. I get to the rehearsal and realize that I had used the power cable to the amp for a keyboard for a recording session. So I didn't have a power cable for my amp. I mean, I did my best to try and find someone around who had a spare power cable, went to the front office of the place we were rehearsing to see if they had one. I had little hope that that would be the case, and I was right. They did not have one. So I was like, well, luckily the band that I was rehearsing with was pretty chill about it, and they knew that I did the best I could. They're a community group, so they're pretty chill. But I felt bad because, I mean, this isn't my first rodeo, guys. I mean, I've been to lots of gigs, and I always double check everything and make sure I got everything. But this day, I forgot something. So I played the whole 2.5-hour rehearsal on upright bass with no amp with a jazz band. And no blisters, luckily, but it was a long haul. So pretty much that day I got back and decided I was gonna pack a go bag that had everything. Because now that I've got, recording studio at home and I'm gigging out a bunch, like forgetting stuff is not an option for me right now. And it's easy for me to forget what I do or don't have in my gig bag or with the amp when I pack it. So I decided to pack a go bag, and I figured I would go over that with you guys and show you what I have in my go bag and what's important for me to bring, and maybe it'll help you to not make the same mistake that I made as far as that goes. So I'm gonna put it up here on the desk and we're gonna show it to you, but before I do that, I also have a music stand that I put in here, and I won't show it because it doesn't fit on the desk, but it just slides into the bag here and just straps in there so that I always have a music stand, because you never know when you're gonna need one. And I have a nicer one, but it's nice to have that one in there just in case I forget to pack the nice one. So let me plop it up here and let's take a look. So this bag here is actually a photography or videography bag, but it works out because it's got these Velcro separators that I can use to organize things better. And we'll go through it one pouch at a time. So up here up front, I have this Bluetooth stop pedal that I use quite a bit with my iPad, because actually I gig a lot with my iPad. I tend to scan my music because it's a lot easier than trying to keep track of printed music. That's in the front, and a spare power cable, so that way if I forget to pack one, I have a spare one, or if one of my bandmates forgets his, I know where that's at. This next pouch here, I have some spare strings, 2 different kinds. But this one's more for short scales in case I bring my smaller Ibanez. And then these ones are just normal Diodario ones. I actually have no idea when or where I bought those, but they're in my studio, so there you go. They're there. I have a little separator here for this other pouch over here where I have a tuner pedal. This is the Korg Pitch Black, which does pretty good. The cool thing about this is that not only is it a tuner pedal, and I don't always need to tune my basses all the time at gigs because my basses stay in tune pretty well, but this also acts as a mute. So when I have an upright and an electric bass both at a gig, it helps that I can mute the bass, and then I can switch basses or I can tune them up real quick, so I can go back and forth between upright and electric pretty easily with this. So I like that, having a tuner. On some of the other bigger pedals I have, I do use the tuner on that to mute things, but when I don't bring my bigger, Line 6 Stomp XL, this is a nice thing to have. And then a long power cable from one spot that I have here. And links to all these things will be in the description if you want to buy any of them. They are affiliate links, so if you do buy any of them, I get a small commission. Just a nice way to support the channel if you don't have any of this gear and you want to get some of it. It's pretty nice. Let's see here. The next one, I have another power cable. This one's a little bit longer, but it's nice to have spare power cables. So always good to have more of these around. And I still have plenty in the studio to power everything. And then a power strip. So this one is 6, and it's a longer cable, which I like. Having a longer cable is good because you don't always want to have your amp right next to a wall if you can help it. kind of makes EQing in a room more difficult because you get more of that reinforcement from the back wall from your low frequencies, which kind of mess up your EQ a little bit. So I like to have a little bit longer cable, and then I can have, you know, shorter power cables to the amp if I need, because this is probably just going to be sitting by the amp anyway, so I wouldn't need a long cable to go from the amp to here. And this, by the way, the one spot is also a pretty long cable, so it works out well that I can run this to the amp, and then I can run this to the pedal where I have me sitting a little bit further away from the amp, so I'm not so close to it. And then a spare cable here. So this one's it's an Amazon Basics cable. It's not expensive. These were cheap, and this is a 20-footer, so it just kind of stays in here. And I figure if I have to buy another one, at least I'm not like out $80-90 like you would with a Mogami for a spare cable that's just going to sit in a bag most of the time. That's exactly what I want. Let me flip this around here. And then up here there is a Velcro pouch where I've got some cables in case I want to have some extra pedals, because I'll bring the tuner, but sometimes I'll bring some other pedals that I need if I want to run a wireless thing from my Stomp XL into a wireless transmitter. I can do that with that. It's nice to have some smaller 1/4-inch cables. Pencil, just in case I need to jot things down. It's nice to have that around. I got some extra Velcro separators if I want to reorganize things. It's always nice to keep those with the bag so I don't lose them, because they do kind of get lost in studios. And this is an old multi-tool that I've had since I was a teenager. I've had it a long time. It's very basic, very cheap. It's got a knife, it's got a screwdriver, it's got pliers. It's nice to have tools on hand in case you do need to do a quick little repair job. It's good to have one of these around. You just want to make sure before you go on a flight with any of this stuff that you don't bring that onto the plane, right? But yeah, it's a really simple bag. There's not much to it. And then once it's all packed up and zipped up, so you get this here, where it is nice and easy to travel with. It's small, it's light, and then you grab your stand, plop it in there, and strap it. That's why I think the photography bags are great, because they have these all set up for tripods for cameras, which works out great for putting a music stand right there for wherever you need to go. There's another one here if I wanted to pack water. I usually will end up having my gig bag with a bunch of other stuff as well. I always have 2 patch cables in my gig bag, and I almost always have like a screwdriver and some extra small cables in there. So it's kind of in addition to my gig bag. This isn't the only bag that I take, and sometimes I don't even take this, especially when I don't need to take an amp or I don't need to take my upright or anything, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm just taking my bass. It has my gig bag, has all the cables I need, and I can plop a few other things in there real quick. But this is the go bag that's always ready, and it can just stay in the studio underneath this couch right here. It can just live down there, and when I am playing a gig where I need multiple basses and an amp, I know that I have everything I need, and I don't have to worry about it, so that way I don't make that same mistake twice. It's an important thing in music or anything, is making sure that, I mean, we all make mistakes, it happens, but making sure that we ensure that we don't make that mistake more than once is really important for continuing to get the gig. So yeah, guys, that's it. Let me know what's in your go bag if you have one, and if you don't, what would you put in it? Am I missing something? So I feel like I did a pretty good job packing this, but what would you put in there that I haven't put in? Let me know in the comments, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.